episode 3882, Stepping Toward Each Other When It Hurts Most.
Moms, it's time to rediscover, rejuvenate, and renew who you are in mind, body, and spirit. Welcome to Create Your Now, Your Best Selfie, the show to help you do just that. Here's your host, certified life coach, personal trainer, and nutritionist, Christiane Wargo.
Happy day. I hope you're having a fabulous start to your weekend. Come on now. You got to have some time off. So don't think about the holidays. Don't think about the laundry. I want you to think about the one you're sleeping with. Oh, yes, stepping toward each other when it hurts most. For those of you who are brand new to Create Your Now, welcome to this incredible family. I'm so delighted of your presence. If you already haven't had the opportunity, you want to head on over to createyournow.com, where you can learn more and sign up for the Kisses newsletter, the Keep It Simple strategy, everyday solutions to live, love, and impact. Well, this episode is brought to you by AIM, inspiring connection and community. All right, well, we've got a whirlwind today. We do, and it's one that you probably don't really want to talk about. It's conflict. And I really think that conflict exists because we forget that we are flawed human beings. We just are. It doesn't matter how perfect you think you are. You're not, and neither am I. And so I want to just kind of talk to you about what conflict looks like in a marriage and how do you get over that. Not where you just bury it and you just take the dust bunnies and like, oh, I'll just hide it. It's no big deal. But actually coming out on the other side. Because guess what's around the corner? The holidays are. And the holidays bring out stress and tension. And it doesn't mean to, because it's a beautiful time of the season. And for a lot of reasons, it's a happy time for the most part. I mean, we all have memories or experiences that we would like not to have to remember, but it's just part of our life. It's part of our journey. But conflict doesn't have to be, right? And that's the thing. Conflict in marriage isn't just about the argument itself. It's about the distance it creates, the silence, the hurt, the confusion about where we stand. Not just me, but you and your spouse, right? We. Coming back together after conflict isn't automatic. Some people say, well, we fight. Why? So we can have fun, in the bedroom. I get that a little bit, but you can do some other things and role play and all of that, right? For incredible intimacy. Okay? Yeah, wink, wink. You got that. So why sit here and try to encourage conflict? Because if you want to come back from it, it requires intentional, courageous steps that go beyond, let's just forget it, or sorry. It's all about stepping toward each other when it hurts most. Because as you know, every marriage faces its share of conflict and miscommunication, right? There are breakdowns. It's going to happen. And it's not a sign that something is broken beyond repair. It's simply human nature. It's a part of who we are as human beings. And when we come into relationships with our own histories, expectations, and emotional triggers, there's going to be some tension there. Right? You think about what your spouse brought in, what you brought into the marriage. And if you're not married, what are you bringing into the relationship if you're dating? I mean, small misunderstandings escalate when left unaddressed. Assumptions fill in the gaps where clarity is missing. And stress from outside life pressures can spill over in ways neither partner intends. And so that's a problem. We're sitting there thinking that we know what we're doing, but we really don't know what we're doing because, there's misunderstandings. And then we just let it boil over. And pretty soon we have a flood of feelings. And they can't be put out with a fire hose. And that's when it leads to, having this minor disagreement, and it can spiral into silence or harsh words that cut deeper than anyone expected. Maybe you found yourself wanting to move forward, but stuck, wondering how to rebuild. How do you reconnect when everything feels raw and fragile? Because this is the thing. If you don't heal that open wound, what happens? It doesn't scar over. And when you have an open wound, it gets worse and it gets bigger. And that's where the toughest part lies, not just wanting peace in your household, but knowing how to get there. How do you get to that other side? I mean, the holidays, we talk about peace. Some people think world peace. Well, for you, maybe you need to be looking at world peace within the privacy of your own four walls. If you and your spouse can't get it together, how do you expect your family, whether it's your children, your animals, your extended family, how can they find peace? How can you enjoy things? It's hard, I know. So what can you do when the distance after a fight seems too wide? Well, you got to rebuild the bridge. That is your Kiss to Keep It Simple strategy. Rebuild that bridge. You can fix what is broken, but only the parts that you can control. Here, it's interesting. When we live down south, you've got rivers and we've got the big Mississippi, and we've got a bridge that is actually closed down for the weekend. No traffic can go there. So we only have one other bridge to get to the other side. And as I was sitting here thinking about, gosh, how do I explain this? It's kind of what it's like when you have an argument. You may have two bridges, but one's broken and you only have one to go down. What's going to happen? It takes one to start, two to finish. You may be the one who started the argument. Maybe you're the one who didn't start the argument. On either side of it, you can start to bring the two of you back together. And I'm not saying it always has to be that way, but someone has to make the first move. So number one, own your part without defensiveness. Conflict is never one-sided. When emotions run high, it's tempting to protect yourself by pointing fingers or justifying your actions. Well, he's been doing this whole time. Well, look at her. She's always done this. But healing begins when you bravely step back and own your role. Not with excuses, but with honesty. When was the last time you were vulnerable with your spouse? I've been watching some Hallmark Christmas movies. And it's just interesting because if you haven't ever watched them, go watch them, if nothing else, than just to analyze it. Seriously. But then you'll get yourself trapped and you'll be like, oh, wait, this one isn't that bad. Now I will tell you, as one who watches, there are some I'm like, oh, that is so well written. And others I'm like, not so much. Because some you can tell it's like a repeat. And it's like, oh, yeah, saw that one, just different characters, different actors, different names, a different kitty cat or puppy dog, whatever it is. And they seem to be all the same. But you see, the interesting thing is that when we sit down and we want to have that happy ending all the time, because with a Hallmark movie, you know that's what you're going to get, right? Especially the Christmas ones. You're going to get a happy ending. But in your real life, are you going to get a happy ending? I'm here to tell you, you can't if you're not honest. You can't if you're not vulnerable. And that's what Hallmark does. They want to what? Share your feelings. Comes from their cards. And oh, by the way, Hallmark is not a sponsor of this episode, but maybe they should be. And this doesn't mean taking all the blame either. It means acknowledging how your words or actions contributed to the pain, contributed to the hurt. You know, saying something like, I'm sorry for how I hurt you, rather than, I'm sorry you feel that way, is powerful. Because you are owning your part of it. And when you do that, it lowers defenses. It breaks down walls, and it signals willingness to bridge the gap, to rebuild that bridge, to come together. And when you own your own part, you invite your partner to do the same, not with judgment, but with empathy. And in doing so, you create a safe space where real conversations can grow and healing can begin. That open wound now becomes what? Closed. And it turns into a scar, scabs over, and then it heals. And yes, if you get hurt again, it may not open up that wound because that wound's already, but it may open another one. And you have to go through the same process. But you can't do it if you're not willing to own your part without defensiveness. You've got to be willing to say, you know what? Yeah, as much as I don't like it, I kind of encouraged it. I kind of poked a little bit too far. I made fun, or whatever the case may be. And understand there's a time and place for everything. Sometimes when we're tired, when we think we have it all together, we just don't. We say things that we don't mean. So be cautious. Number 2, ask deep questions. Listen to understand, not to respond or react. After a conflict, it's easy to get caught replaying your version of the story in your head. And when I say your version, it's literally your version. Because your memory is to make you look better, for the most part. And that's natural. But the thing is you want to remember the version that actually happened. Whether it was your fault or your spouse's fault, it's the story of what actually happened. And then mentally preparing your next point, right? If you are always sitting there going, oh, he's going to say this, and now I'm going to interject this. But what your spouse really needs is to be heard, not debated. How many times are we filling in the blank for our spouse? They start saying something like, oh, I can finish that sentence. And in your mind already, you finish the sentence. And then the next thing you know, it's like, wait, but they just said something else. And then you don't even know what they said. And you're like, oh my goodness. And then you get into another argument. So instead of leaving yourself hanging like that, try asking thoughtful, open-ended questions that truly invite, make it an invitation to your spouse to share their feelings and needs. For example, what was going through your mind during our argument? What were you thinking about? How did what I said or did affect you? Like, I want to know that. What do you need from me so we can move forward? Some people need an actual apology, meaning you actually saying, I'm sorry. Some people need just to know that, okay, you own what it was and great, you move on, no big deal. But you've got to ask the questions and then listen deeply. And that means resisting the urge to interrupt or defend, resisting the urge to fill in the blanks or to finish their sentences in your own mind. It means listen to their words, not yours. Listen to understand the emotional experience behind their words. What are they not saying? And ask more questions on that to gain clarity so you understand. We as human beings, oh my goodness, we are complex, which makes our lives absolutely beautiful. But it also makes it tough too. And when you give that space and you create a landscape, an environment where your spouse can come in and feel genuinely understood, it bursts connection, not defensiveness. And that shared understanding is the bridge back. That helps you to rebuild that bridge. And then finally, number 3, rebuild connection through small acts of care. Big apologies or grand gestures alone won't restore what's lost after conflict. It just won't. What heals most is consistent small acts that show you're present and invested. I'm here, babe. I'm not leaving. I know you don't like what we are doing, or I know we're in a position that's not good, but we're going to get through this together. It's going to be a little bit rough, but we'll figure it out. We don't always have to agree, but we do need to listen to each other. That's huge than saying, well, it's my way. You just get out of here already. I'm done listening to you complain. Where is that going to get you? Nowhere. So maybe it could be something as simple as making their favorite cup of coffee, right? The little things, sending a heartfelt text during the day. Maybe for you, it's an emoji or 2 or 3, or suggesting a walk together without distractions. These moments remind both of you that beyond the disagreement, you're a team that deeply cares. And it's not just about deeply caring about your family, but deeply caring about each other. You can't be a great team if you don't care about each other. So build it with consistency. And when your spouse sees you making an effort day after day, and when you find that you're making an effort, they begin to trust that connection. You begin to trust yourself. Your confidence grows. And when your confidence grows, guess what else happens? You share more. You're more open. You're vulnerable. You're honest. And that's when you can get through the tough times. That gets you to the other side. Conflict isn't the end. It can be the start of something stronger. Because when you look at it, the arguments, the disagreements and all of it, right? The stuff that you don't want to talk about, but you end up talking about it in a conflict manner, right? It doesn't have to fracture your marriage. In fact, it can reveal the cracks that when addressed with courage and care, it can lead to greater intimacy and understanding of each other. Stepping toward each other when it hurts most, it's not easy. It's a steep mountain to climb. And it requires humility and patience and intentionality. But every relationship worth fighting for deserves that effort. You deserve that effort. And you deserve to give that to your spouse too. So when you feel stuck, because you will, remember this: not all conflicts lead to the end. Often they lead to the chance to come back, closer and more connected than before. But what you got to do is you got to be willing to take the first step. One step at a time leads to miles of greatness. Go in peace. Be present. Be incredible. Be you. I love you so very much. I cannot wait to see you on the other side. Blessings, hugs, and lots of love. We'll talk to you real soon. Have a glorious, blessed weekend. Oh, and enjoy some good football. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Feeling inspired, ready to train for life, and love your journey? Visit createyournow.com for more incredible resources to help you along the way. We'll see you next time on Create Your Now, Your Best Selfie. And remember, always be sure you consult your physician before beginning any health and fitness plan.